miracles of science and engineering it took to recover this gold.
Welcome to All Gold Everything, a podcast for people who are not mad at Walmart for once.
Not mad at them.
Not mad at them. I'm Heidi. I'm one of your co-hosts. This is Sandy.
Sandy Hammer. I'm going to Walmart today.
To do what? Just to spend some money? Just throw that scratch out there like, hey, Walmart, thanks for making the right decision.
Well, I would, but I actually have a shopping goal, which is a Barbie dream camper for my niece who's turning 5 years old. Or I guess she's my great niece, but it's easier just to call her my niece.
That's so cute.
Who's turning 5 years old. Well, she's already actually turned 5 years old, but we're celebrating tomorrow
You're gonna
night.
see her.
And her grandma said she wants a Barbie dream camper. And
That's
where do
really
you get
cute.
a Barbie dream camper? At Walmart.
Walmart.
And I was like, you know what? I'm really happy that I'd be happy to give Walmart my money today. Today's a day. I'm happy to give them my money. Now somebody just tell me where Walmart is, because I don't know.
That's right. Just in case there are listeners out there that might not know why you're so happy about Walmart, would you please inform?
Well, so I was really happy with Dick's Sporting Goods a couple years back when they, for purely ethical reasons, for purely to do the right thing, decided to stop selling AR-15 guns and ammunitions.
Yeah.
And it was met with backlash, and Walmart was pretty vilified by all the liberals. Like, look what they're selling in this whatever. And Walmart seemed kind of unflinching in their stance that we, Second Amendment rights, we're going to sell them, and capitalism, and we're going to make our money because we're Walmart, we're mega evil corporation.
Yeah.
And it was just that sounds like Walmart to me. Keep it moving.
Right.
Another reason not to go to Walmart. But then
dun, dun, dun.
I even have a little backstory. I just checked in with Joey because I heard him listening to a podcast and I heard Dick's Sporting Goods mentioned. So I was like, oh my gosh, are they talking about the Walmart thing? Because I saw yesterday on Instagram that the Shade Room was reporting that Walmart said that they were going to stop selling ammunition and semi-automatic weapons and handguns.
Woo-woo.
But I saw it on the Shade Room. So I was like, I don't believe
How
this.
reliable is
I didn't
this?
believe it. I was like, fake news.
Sandy needs receipts on all the things that come across Sandy's desk require receipts.
Yeah, so I got excited, but then I was like, I'm seeing this on Instagram on the Shade Room. That would be great, but I'm not really expecting it to be the truth. And so I run out, I hear Joey listening to this podcast. I'm like, are they talking about Walmart? And he said yes. And he said this podcast he was listening to was a New York Times writer.
Wow.
And the New York Times writer asked after this last mass shooting, which sadly I'm losing track of because there's so many people dying in this
there's been
country.
one since the El Paso one in Walmart.
Yes.
But there was one in Walmart in El Paso.
Right.
Right.
So this New York Times writer decided, who happens to have a relationship with the CEO or whatever, one of the top decision makers at Walmart are, and said, hey, you have a unique position and a social responsibility, and can you consider this? And the Walmart exec took some time and wrote back and said yes, and this is our plan.
Yeah.
So it's true, y'all.
It's true, people. It's true. I love it.
So it's
a step in the right direction.
When our government can't help us, maybe we can rely on, just people doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So for me, oh my gosh, for cynical me who's lost all hope, who woke up one election day in 2016 and was like, am I going to kill myself, or am I just going to forget about hope altogether because the world's fucked? To have this happen is pretty huge.
Yeah, big deal.
Goosebumps and happiness.
Yeah.
And good job, Walmart.
Yeah, good job,
I will
Walmart.
buy an $80 Barbie dream camper from you today.
I gotta tell you, my niece Isla is turning 4 in 2 weeks, or 3. October 19th, and she was obsessed with Barbie, so I made up making a trip to Walmart as well.
That's so funny because my response to my sister, my great niece's grandma, when she told me Barbie Dream Camper, I was like, "What? Are kids still playing with Barbie these days?"
My brother Fred was like, "I can't believe this. I hate to tell you this, but she's obsessed with Barbie, despite all of our efforts." But you know what? There's the argument to be made that Barbie's the ultimate feminist. She goes camping. She's a CEO. she owns Ken. Ken is whipped by Barbie. We don't have to go all the way into that, but
they are also now making, I guess, more inclusive Barbies. Size inclusive. So whatever. But here's what.
Yeah.
We're obsessed with Barbie too, and we just don't know it because we look at the Kardashians on Instagram.
I know, we were just talking about them.
How is this different? Except Barbie doesn't have to wear 3 pairs of shapewear.
Before she even leaves the house.
Mm-hmm. I told Heidi I'm just going to rock my lumps because I can't wear 3 pairs of shapewear. That's insane.
It's hard. I did it once for the red dress party, and I didn't even wear 3 pairs, but I wore a pair of shapewear and 2 pairs of control top pantyhose because I just really was wanting to be in this tiny fitted dress. And I got into the dress, and it looked cute, but it was impossible. It was nearly impossible to breathe. It was very challenging to go to the bathroom.
Yeah,
and get it all back up in the same direction. You know what I mean? So it's hard. I mean, if that's what you want to do it, but you don't want to do it, so don't do it. I may do it occasionally. I'm not sure. Jury's still out for me. Something that the jury is not out for me, see what I did there? Mm-hmm. See what I did? Is my Hollywood laser facial. I'm still feeling amazing from it.
Yeah.
And we've been doing a little more research into we're getting another laser facial in 2 weeks, in the middle of September.
Newsflash, I changed my appointment.
Yeah, when are you going?
I was going to change it just for earlier that day because I somehow made the appointment at the same time we podcast, which
I would love to actually
really
podcast from there, but that would be it was hard. It would be hard to concentrate.
No,
it's too hard. This is a serious affair. We need I need to be able to give all of my 100% of my attention to this endeavor, not trying to spa myself at the same time.
Yeah, so here's what, Heidi, because my face looks so amazing. I called Tristan to change the date to make it earlier so I could do it before podcast, but then I realized that I'm going to be red and puffy after this one because this is a little bit more serious of an ordeal than the Hollywood facial.
Yeah, the second level facial is a little more intense. It includes microneedling. I'm anticipating I'll be in tears.
So I realized that my face is slamming still from this Hollywood facial. I don't want to do it so soon, so I actually pushed it out to October.
You pushed yours out. All right. Well, I'm going to get mine on the 11th of September before our next before it's Friday, I think. No, it's a Wednesday. So it'll be the day before our podcast for us and before we go back to K2. But in doing that, we've been doing a little bit more research around Thrive Aesthetics in Portland, which so far we are 1,000%
and the services they offer.
Delighted. 1,000% delighted. We'll go back. But one of the things I'm looking into, which Sandy is encouraging me to do more research on, is this Mira-Dry thing that they have that they inject some stuff into your armpits that kills your sweat glands. So you no longer sweat or smell forever. Now, there is a little bit of a weird side effect. That sweat's got to go somewhere.
You become Hunter S. Thompson?
What? Tell me, what about Hunter S. Thompson?
The side effect?
The side effect is you become a weird, zany, crazy old man.
But you don't pit out.
But you don't pit out your gray shirt. So I can't even tell you how much I'm looking forward to the idea of wearing a gray shirt and not having sweat circles. I mean, sweating, there's a word for it, hyperhidrosis has been a thing for me my whole life. Even as a kid in high school, I lived in Iowa, so it was cold, right? I grew up in Iowa. And I would remember I would wear a t-shirt and a little button down and then I'd throw a sweater over it because it was the 90s and you layered a sweater over our flannel if you lived in Iowa. And I can remember looking at my armpits and realizing that I had sweat through all 3 layers, that there was sweat coming out of the sweater. And I would sweat when I was hot or cold, no matter what. I'm sweating right now. It's been a lifelong thing. So I'm seriously considering killing the sweat glands in my armpits. But I'm going to take Sandy's advice and do a little bit more research before I just charge in there with my armpits up.
You know what? I think I will do plenty of temporary things without a great deal of research. I think for temporary things, I'll be like, that looks good. I can afford it. Okay, I put it in my face. Except I'm still, I don't know. There's still some things I'm still on the fence on. But for me, it's temporary, reversible. Okay. Permanently killing your sweat glands is concerning for me.
I know.
And we don't know the downstream's effect yet. And I don't want you to be the one to find out.
I know, but I just sweat so much. And I do sweat from other parts of my body. So I understand that there is an adjustment phase where you would sweat more. There's all this sweat that normally comes out of your armpits. It has to come out somewhere else. So
don't you work out almost every day?
I do. But I mean, so I'm assuming that my body would know to redirect all of that sweat. So eventually it just rebalances out. But for a while you might sweat more out of your shins than you normally would, or out of your butt or something than you normally would. You might have more boob sweat or something than normal. So I have to do a little bit more research, but it's on my radar for sure.
So just to throw out there, there are more reversible solutions, including Botox.
It's true. But I don't know. I just kind of feel like, well, maybe I'd do Botox first and then I would try this permanent solution.
Especially because it says on the patient information, like, this is good for people who have tried other options and failed.
So I have to do other things first.
You don't have to. Like, you can do whatever the fuck you want. It's your body. But I'm a very worrisome friend.
Well, you're a well-informed friend. I mean, that's part of the reason I love being friends with someone who's very smart and a doctor.
Yeah, but that's the problem. I'm a little bit scared and conservative when it comes to medical treatments because I see the bad outcomes. And I don't trust new therapies, and I don't trust reversible or irreversible cosmetic procedures.
Okay, I like it. That's pretty, I am definitely hearing what you're saying.
Yeah.
The words are coming into my ears. They're processing.
However, I can be convinced with more research.
Okay, you got it. So what did you get up to this week? Let's check in a little bit. What's going on for you?
For me, well, nothing was really going on for me this week, but I worked all week.
Yeah.
And I had a really...
Just saving kids' lives, just being a super woman.
I have this new schedule at work, and I like it, and I am enjoying going to work. I will say one thing I discovered where I work. I work in a tower, and it's a 10-story tower.
Yeah.
And we only have activity up until the 8th floor. So the 9th floor is a shell and the 10th floor is a mystery. I think it's like the hatch from Lost or something.
Yeah, like stuff gets stored up there.
No. Stuff gets stored on the 9th floor. Nobody knows what happens on the 10th floor.
I know what we should do for Halloween.
Go to the 10th floor.
Let's take a trip to the 10th floor, baby.
Well, anywho, I have this new watch that like tracks my steps and my activity, and I have like activity goals for the day.
That's right.
And a standing goal for the day and an exercise goal for the day. And I just happened to, on this one day, like, I was really busy, my day was really packed, and I knew that I wasn't going to be able to close my rings, and now I care.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I had to stop wearing mine because the ring obsession got too much for me for a minute.
It's starting.
Yeah, it's hard.
So I decided I would just do the stairs at work, and so this is how I discovered the 10th floor. But I actually discovered something really cool, and that just... something really cool on the 10th floor about the place that I work that I've never known before.
What is it?
So it's locked. You can't go up to the 10th floor, but you can take the stairwell up.
Yeah.
And when you get to the top, there's just 2 sheets of paper taped to the wall with a pin. And it's everybody who's ever walked the stairs goes and puts hash marks and like writes little encouraging phrases on it. And so
that's
there's
adorable.
Probably about 50 people who are walking the stairs on the regular and hash marking how many flights of stairs they're doing.
Oh my God, I love this.
It made me so happy. And
that's
the first time I saw it, I didn't write it. I didn't want to get in on their thing. These are really committed people. They're not just trying to close their damn rings.
Well, they might be. Maybe it started that they were trying to close their rings, and now they're just like, every day I walk 10 flights of stairs at my work.
Yeah, so now every day I walk 10 flights of stairs twice at my work. So
that's amazing.
That's my week.
I love that. I just had to hop up and turn our timer on because I was trying to look on it on my phone, and I thought about asking Mark, but I just did it, and now my hair's all whatever. But I love that you walked the stairs at work. I often feel like that is such a great way to just like take a breather, to like get reset, to start all over. I love doing, when I was working in an office building, I liked walking the stairs. It's hard too. That's the truth. It's hard on your butt.
It's good.
Makes me out of breath.
Well, I've found myself, I've noticed that since like a couple years ago, I had a really, it was about 6 months after we started this podcast, I had a really challenging experience at work, and I was really at a lost point with what I want to do with my life. I looked for other jobs, stuff like that. And like kind of what I've realized in the past, I don't know, a couple months is that I'm really engaged with my job. I'm really committed to my job, and I'm feeling like a deeper sense of being a part of at work than I've ever had before.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
So to go up to the 10th floor and learn something new about the building that I've worked in for 12 years.
Yeah.
It was just really cool for me. It was a really cool experience. And I just feel a little bit more connected to the people I work with in that tower. So it was neat.
I really like that. This week for me, I had a first. I'm starting to do some PR stuff for the book. So related Relationship Ready, How I Stopped Fucking Randos and Started Cupcaking My Soulmate, is going to be available on October 1st. And it means that in the coming weeks, I will be doing interviews and press and trying to get it out there and lots of social media about it. But I did my first podcast interview last week, which was really fun.
Oh, cool. Tell me more. I didn't know about this.
Yeah. So I called into a show in Phoenix that is called With Love With Love Avi. Sorry, Avi. And it is a gal who lives in Phoenix that has a podcast about dating and love and relationships in Phoenix. And we got connected by one of our mutual friends, Lindsay Schwartz, and I got to call into the show. And she is so funny because she is the greatest. She's a great interviewer. It was super fun to chat with her. She made it very easy. I had listened to a couple of shows to kind of prep myself for what to expect. But it's kind of it's like an hour-long show, and she starts off by she does astrology with all of her guests. So she wants to know what your rising sign is, what your sun sign is, what your moon sign is. And I felt very prepared because we had done an episode on astrology. Whew, thank God. So I didn't have to panic on like trying to find all my stuff. And then we just talked about the book for a long time. And then she closes out every segment or every interview with the same 5 questions, which now I am completely blanking on all of them. But it was really, really fun. And it was great to be on another podcast that's in a similar space to ours, but is specific to a particular market.
Yeah.
And so if you have a minute, my episode will drop on Monday, September 9th, I believe. Yeah. Monday, September 9th. She'll be doing some Instagram posts about it. I will as well. And the show is called With Love, Avi. You can find it on Apple Podcasts. You can find it. She's on Instagram. That's the Instagram handle that she has. She is adorable. And it was just super, super fun to have.
She's doing a Carrie Bradshaw thing on her cover.
Yeah, it's really cute. Yeah, it's really cute. And she's smart and fun. And so it was really great to be able to do that. The other thing that happened for me this week, I just have to say, I made a playlist off of last week's show because we talked about being a rich motherfucker and how you spell rich and how rich Rihanna is. And the playlist is called Get Money, Make Money. And you can find it on our highlights on the podcast Instagram or my Instagram. It's a Spotify playlist. And I am just loving it so much. All week I've been bopping around to the Get Money, Make Money playlist. Nice. And I'm like, oh, get money, make money. And it's just felt so good. So I've been inspired by that. And then last night I went to Dave Matthews Band.
I saw that on your story. So I just have a little complaint. One, I just found out that Heidi did this podcast right here now with all y'all, and that kind of pisses me off. Oh. And 2, I found out that she went to Dave Matthews on her fucking Instagram story, and we call ourselves friends. Nice. Keep going, Heidi.
Okay, well, so I went to Dave Matthews Band because our mutual friend Marissa is getting married in October, and she bought a bunch of tickets for some people to go, and that was one of her dad's favorite bands, so that was like really convenient. Well, it was really kind of interesting. Her dad passed away on September 4th a couple of years ago, and yesterday was September 4th, and Dave Matthews Band was here, and so we all just went to go see it. And I have to say, it was a bit of a roller coaster of an experience because I had been a committed Dave Matthews Band fan in the 90s.
Oh.
I spent a lot of time doing a lot of drugs and following Dave Matthews
Band. I
think
like all white people
yes,
from like
it's true.
Middle, like Northwest and Middle America love them some Dave Matthews.
It's true. It's pretty basic. It's a pretty basic interest that some of us have.
I didn't say basic. You said basic.
It's okay. I do. And I say it with a little bit of self-deprecation. I mean, it was definitely like, in the 90s, it was a lot of like dude bros with like, I don't know if you remember, in the Midwest anyway, and where I was in Pittsburgh, all the dude bros had baseball hats that came from the university. What is it? The Gamecocks is their... It's like South Carolina Gamecocks, but all the hats just say Cox on them.
I don't think I've ever seen this.
Oh my God. This was like such a phenomenon on the Eastern Seaboard and in the Midwest in the 90s that like funny. It was so funny that the mascot for whatever university this is a Gamecock, and that they were allowed to put the word cock across the top of the baseball hat. So all the guys have these like white baseball hats with cocks across the front in like orange or navy or something, like really preppy color combination.
And
right?
These were the Dave Matthews bands.
Yeah, and they're all wearing like woven flip-flop sandals. They're probably wearing cargo shorts or like at least like a chino khaki shirt. I mean, it's like as dude bro frat guy as you can get. You know what I mean? So
I do.
In the 90s, that's what I was doing. I was doing a lot of ecstasy and a lot of dancing to Dave Matthews Band. And in particular, it was pretty fun. The summer of 1999 or 2000, we went to a number of shows and just danced and like danced and danced and danced and danced. So I feel like I'm relatively familiar with the Dave Matthews Band catalog. I probably have more exposure to Dave Matthews Band albums than even your average dude, bro. And so I was really looking forward to going to last night and like just, get my groove on. But I have to say, they did, I think, what a lot of big bands do is, they played a bunch of new stuff. And I haven't listened to Dave Matthews Band since the very last show I went to, I don't think. You know what I mean? Since 2000. So I was like, well, all right, this is new. And it's like...
It was incredibly boring is what it sounds like.
It was hard.
The music
was boring. The music was boring. And I almost
Dave Matthews is really fucking boring music.
I know. And they're all really long songs. Like they're all 7.5 to 10 minute songs.
They're all
a
just
total
like,
jam band, right?
Yeah.
So I just felt like, and in the end, what they did was, they closed out the show and then we had to clap for like 20 minutes for them to come back for an encore. And here's my question about encores. Like, I want to know, like, can we just skip this pretense that like we're gonna really all go home when you think you're done and like you're really gonna pretend to be done right now and then you're like, could you just keep playing? Like, I don't understand what the point.
They always come back out.
Everyone always comes back out. So I don't understand why we all have to pretend this dumb game. Why we all have to lie to ourselves and play this dumb game of like, okay, we're gonna stand here and clap for 20 minutes and we're gonna shout like, Dave, what the whole crowd's got like, what kind of ego trip is this or whatever that like. But anyway, they came back out, and for the encore, they played 2 songs that everyone was like really familiar with, and that was super fun.
What were they?
I can't remember. I feel like one
Dave,
was
because they all sound the same.
They do. I feel like one was
hear me.
Ants Marching, and one was I don't remember what the other one was, but I knew it. You know what I mean? And so. I almost wish they hadn't done that because then I was like, God, this is so great. And I was like, what if the entire show had been songs I knew? How great would that have been instead? So I almost wish I didn't even have
because it's fun to sing along.
Yeah, it's
and
fun.
dance like you used to when we were
all fucked up and 20. You know what I mean? So it was an interesting experience. I was glad to go be there with friends, but it was like a little underwhelming as far as the music was concerned, and that was like, oh man, that was a bummer. And then the last thing I have going on is that this weekend you're headed to Bend for a wedding. Which will be exciting.
And a 5-year-old birthday party.
Oh, yeah. And I am headed to Arizona for the Powerhouse Women Live Your Best Damn Life
already?
event. Yeah.
Oh, that'll be fun.
I'm really excited. I can't wait to see a bunch of people that I saw last year. I'm hoping to get together with Avi to have coffee with her, and because she may or may not be there. And I'm also hoping to get together with Nicole Maiden, who is the PR maven that got us connected with the advice to get on K2. So there are a number of people that I'm hoping to touch base with when I'm down there, and I'm also super excited because I had our friend Sarah from One Imaginary Girl donate 300 scarves. Not donate. Twillies. She and I arranged for 300 Twillies to go into the goodie bag. So I have this afternoon. I'm looking forward to punching holes in my business cards and threading the Twillies through and tying them up so that they can go in the bag. So
that's amazing,
it's exciting.
Sarah.
Yeah,
I can't wait to hear about your trip. It's going to be really fun.
It's gonna be fun, and we're gonna be in the sun a little bit. Otherwise, we're gonna be busy like making the world, making stuff happen or something. I don't know.
Cole, you're going to be doing something with Collins.
Something with Collins. It's true.
Don't get it stuck.
Don't.
If it's a glass bottle, it'll create a suction, and they'll have to drill a hole in the bottom to get it out.
I don't want to.
Be careful.
I don't want to do that.
Okay.
I will be careful. I promise. This is okay. We're going to move into a couple of stories. There's not a lot of entertainment news that's happening. Almost all of the stuff that's happening out there is about Hurricane Dorian, which is too dark.
It's sad.
We're just not going to be talking about that. So instead,
and we're not going to talk about our president who basically drew with a Sharpie on a map to avoid being wrong. We're not going to talk about that.
We're not talking about that. What we are going to talk about is something that I don't know if you've heard. Did you hear this rumor that Wendy Williams may be the next on the next season of Real Housewives of New York?
No.
Yes.
That would be incredible.
Mm-hmm. I thought that might be something that would bend your ear a little bit.
I didn't watch this season of New York because it's just like I'm so over it and I'm so over Bethany. But Bethany's quit.
She's leaving.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a spot. So Wendy Williams was making all the rounds today.
Yay, Wendy!
And every outlet she went to is asking her this question. Is she going to be on the next season of Real Housewives of New York?
And did she say?
She said...
How you doing? I can't comment on that.
That's right. She said she wouldn't be because she didn't want anyone seeing where she lives or how she lives or who she dates. But I feel like
no.
I think she's playing coy.
I think she is too. And she does want people to see what she's doing and who she's dating. Sorry, Wendy. You're lying to yourself.
So I feel like Wendy's lying to herself. We may need to check in with Trey Renee, who knows Wendy, and see if Trey's got the scoop on it. But I agree. I think that because if she didn't want anyone to know anything about her, she's everywhere right now.
Yeah, and she's reporting on it. Like she's posting on social media, and she's talking about it on her talk show.
Yeah,
and she's calling people out by name that she's like hanging out with and dating.
Yeah. So
do you know she's like homies with Black China?
No.
I'm like they're friends. They're hanging out, and she's telling people.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
Yeah, they're homies.
Maybe we should see if we could like go on a double friend date with them.
Oh my gosh, that would be so fun.
Black China and Wendy Williams.
Especially
I
because
wear 3 layers of shapewear for that, frankly.
You know what? I wouldn't, and I'm going to tell you why. This is why I would not do that. I'm going to tell you why. Tell me. My body has changed, friends.
It is happening to me too.
And one thing that has changed about my body is I'm getting a booty. And it's looking a little Nicki Minaj Black China-y. Now, I know that that's a little exaggerated, but nevertheless, I have never had a booty like this before. And I'm just going to embrace the bigness, and no fucking way I'm going to put shapewear on this ass.
Okay. You are committed to that. I like it. That booty does look good. You are rocking it.
I've never had a booty like this in my life.
I feel like that is something I know I have heard you say before, because when we used to run together all the time, we were always talking about your booty.
Well, but then that was a different booty. That was like a little tight white girl
runner booty.
Yeah. But now it's loosening up and spreading in this very peachy,
voluptuous way.
Peachy. I had a guy at work called me a brick house.
Yeah.
And it's probably, and I don't
think he's a brick house.
I don't think that's good. Like I asked him if he was high. It's somebody I don't know. It's somebody who works. He works for housekeeping, and I saw him in the basement, and he walked by, and I don't know him. I don't know his name. I've never said more than hello to him. And he said, "Damn girl, you a brick house."
Oh yeah.
And I said, "What?"
That sounds good
to me. And he said, "Girl, you a brick house."
Girl,
and I
you
said,
a brick house. P.S. That's the title of this episode now.
Yeah. And I looked at him, and I was like, "Are you high?" And then he just kept going.
That sounds like he thought it was a good thing.
I know. My husband was not pleased with this story. And especially if you Google brick house, it's not flattering.
Oh, well, I think it sounds good the way he said it. Maybe he didn't understand what it meant.
Yeah.
Do you think? Because I mean, all I think of when I think she's a brick house is the song.
Yeah.
She's a brick, and that makes it sound good too.
No, it's a compliment. It's just a compliment that I've never received, and it's not a way I've ever considered myself, because my body is changing.
Yeah, but it looks damn good.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay, so we're moving on from Wendy Williams into this kind of strange, it's not a strange story. Okay, vaping is making hundreds of people sick and no one knows why. Hashtag duh. I mean, this is the stupidest story. This has been everywhere for the last 3 weeks. The story I have is from Vox. Vox is reporting this story, but every news outlet in the last 14 days has been like, hundreds of people are getting sick from vaping and no one knows why. Like, okay, everyone saw this coming.
Wait, how sick?
Like, well, one person died in Oregon, but they don't know why.
Okay.
People are having respiratory distress. Duh.
Okay. Yeah.
Popcorn lung, I guess, is like a thing or whatever, which sounds horrendous. I don't know what that is.
Popcorn lung is.
I know the term, but I don't know what it stands for. So I don't know like what it is. Maybe it's that like people have always been sick from smoking and vaping, but there's like a new strain of sickness or something. But anyway, every outlet that I have seen has been reporting this story about people being sick from vaping.
Popcorn lung is bronchiolitis obliterans. That's bad.
Yeah, that's bad.
That's very serious.
I mean, it doesn't sound good, frankly. Popcorn lung sounds gnarly, so I'm glad to know it is.
So they must be, some of whatever they're vaping must be sort of like poorly formulated and have some really harmful chemicals in them that are harmful to your lungs. So that is a serious thing.
So it's like, even though your vape juice smells like pineapples, there's chemicals that are burning the shit out of your lungs using it. So like, don't vape. Duh. This is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I can't even believe that we have this on our show, but I just felt like it's everywhere. It seems so stupid.
So I didn't read the article, but I did read what popcorn lung is.
Yeah, that's good.
So apparently at some point there was microwave popcorn that was using a chemical to create it to like do the thing it does in the microwave.
Yeah.
And the chemical was harmful and caused bronchiolitis obliterans.
Whoa.
And you can die from that. You'll definitely be in the hospital for a long time until your lungs recover from that.
Yeah.
And so this is probably like a wave of bad vape
juice.
Aside from like vape, I hate it. I hate it because you know what? I don't get it. I don't understand why. So I never like it when people are smoking on the sidewalk, when I'm like running down the sidewalk and I have to breathe in their cigarette smoke. I don't like it. I don't appreciate it.
As a former smoker, I love it, but it's okay.
The cloud of cigarette smoke is a good, I don't know, like 10% the size of a cloud of vape smoke.
Oh my God, you are right. The vape smoke is like voluminous, cumulus, extra giant clouds. I don't know. That's so funny.
It's not like your lung capacity grows by like a factor of 10 when you're vaping. Like, why is the...
I wonder if it has to do with the delivery system. Yeah. Because like if you smoke a regular cigarette, like it has to actually burn the tobacco and like maybe the speed of that. But like when you smoke a vape, you just like go, I don't know. I've never actually smoked a vape pen, but you think you just like press a button and you can inhale as much as you want. So that might be why the clouds. And then it always smells like strippers and cotton candy or something.
Yeah.
It's like gnarly. So anyway, this is a no-brainer story, but I felt like we'd be remiss if we didn't at least touch on it.
Thank you for sharing. Now we all learned something today
about popcorn lung. Yeah. And in the vein of something really gross and stuff of worst nightmares, you can file this under my worst nightmares category, this next story.
Okay.
Here's what happened.
Is it a true crime story?
This is a true crime story, but it's not a mystery because these kids got in a lot of trouble. A group of middle school boys in Ohio have been charged in juvenile court after allegedly tricking their teachers into eating a crepe that was covered in semen and barbecue sauce mixed with urine.
Well, I'm glad they added barbecue sauce. That was compassionate. Thank you.
I like that they were like, well, this barbecue sauce is strong enough to mask the smell of urine. I mean, I don't know if this is a picture of what they actually... It couldn't be because there's no barbecue sauce. Also, let's be serious. No middle school boy could ever make anything that looked like that.
I mean, that looks delicious. I'd eat that. I would never eat a crepe with barbecue sauce on it.
That's a good point. You make a very good point. Maybe it was like in some home ec class and they were like... I mean, I guess maybe a savory crepe if you had like some kind of like ham inside of it or semen. So I don't know, but I mean that would be my worst nightmare. I have never been tricked into eating urine, drinking urine or semen. I mean I've had semen in my mouth, but I wasn't tricked into it. And it reminded me of this crazy story that there was.
Just kidding.
I don't know why I felt so weird saying that. Like everyone's sucked a little dick and had semen in their mouth.
I know. I don't know why I felt so weird hearing
I know.
I had a little The Office moment where I just kind of like silently looked at the camera like, are you hearing this?
All right, so let's just admit we're all grown women. Everyone swallowed a little semen in their day.
Let's just normalize semen in our mouths for everybody.
But I never got tricked into it. Everybody of age. I never got tricked into it, I guess is the point.
I hope not. That's like
that would be
traumatic.
Then we'd be moving into a whole different topic of conversation.
Getting really dark really quick.
But I do know there was this kid that I grew up with in Iowa, and he was a soccer player and was like bullied as a kid, and I can't remember who was bullying him. And I kind of feel like this was a club team. I don't think this was like the kids we went to school with. Anyway, some kids pissed into his Gatorade bottle and then gave it to him to drink and told him it was Gatorade, and he definitely took a sip of it. And
that would be easier to do than a crepe with barbecue sauce.
Than believing a crepe and barbecue sauce.
Why is the barbecue sauce creamy?
I don't... I feel like the semen was in the crepe and the barbecue sauce, the urine was in the barbecue sauce. But still, you make a good point. Why is this so runny? Why does this smell so awful?
I mean, semen smells, not that I know, but semen smells pretty strong.
Never been around it, yeah.
No, never had it in my mouth. I feel like I would.
You would smell it.
A very familiar smell.
My other question that I didn't even have until this very moment is like, I'm wondering if these guys were like if these teenagers were like plotting this plan, and everyone was like, and we're like, okay, everyone go home, jack off, put it in a container, bring it to home ec class. Like, I kind of want to know the logistics of how. I don't want to know I want to know like they collected their pee probably in a jar or something. I don't know. I just feel like anyway, this is a worst nightmare situation for me. I hope I never get tricked into eating any semen or urine. Thank you.
When one of my first memories is a story. I don't remember the event, but I remember the story because I was very little when it happened. But we had these two little boy neighbors who were just a little bit older than my sister and I, and like the same age apart. Matt and Mark on Falcon Lane in Garden Grove.
Hey guys.
And there's been a story throughout my whole childhood that Mark, the older one, put a piece of dog poop in a candy bar wrapper and gave it to my sister, and my sister took a bite.
No.
Yeah. So
does she remember?
I'll see her this weekend and I'll confirm whether this is true or not. Although, you know how we do get when we get old, how memories aren't real.
Yeah.
And
they get distorted.
The memories become whatever the heck we want them to be.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. I'll ask my sister.
I feel like there's no way she's going to cop to having eaten part of a dog turd thinking it was a Hershey bar or something.
We'll find out.
Oh, goodness. All right. The next story that I want to talk about is, I think, the marriage pact story. This is a pretty cool. Oh, no, sorry. I was out of order. The next one I want to talk about is, are you smarter than a robot? Okay. So AI is artificial intelligence. There are people who are like really confident that artificial intelligence is going to make life way better. Elon Musk thinks it's going to, like, I think, cause the end of the world. I can't remember. Is that right? Do you know about that, Mark? Yeah. He's like very he thinks that artificial intelligence is the largest threat to the human race. Larger than like climate change, larger than anything else, is the biggest threat to the human race is AI.
Well, good thing we have a lot of threats, so we just get to see what kills us first.
Planting all the seeds, watering them to see what grows.
Are we gonna drown or be killed by robots? I don't know.
Well, okay, so have you ever seen the movie Ex Machina?
No.
Okay, so this is like a pretty. Have you seen the movie Ex Machina? Okay,
I've seen the one where the guy falls in love with the robot.
Yeah, that's a plot line in this movie.
Oh,
you might have seen this.
No, it's Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, okay. No.
It's more of a love story.
Okay. Oh, with Scarlett Johansson.
Johansson.
Okay. I think it's called Her, is that movie?
Yes.
Okay. This is a different movie, and it's definitely like a sci-fi thriller.
I was single when I saw her, and I found it threatening. I'm like, fuck that. Fuck that computer bitch. There aren't enough good men for
Scarlett Johansson looking computer ass bitch. They're sounding.
There aren't that many like available men for us good human women. And then I was so threatened. Well, by her. I'm not threatened by you anymore, Scarlett.
Yeah, we know our worth. There's two things that I want to talk about with this. First of all, I would highly recommend Ex Machina. I'm not into sci-fi or thrillers, and that movie is good. It had me on the edge of my seat the whole time, and I feel like it is going to age very well. But basically, it's like this millionaire who lives in a big glass cube in Hawaii or something, and he has a programmer that works for one of his like Google-esque businesses who wins a contest and gets to come visit him at his house. And when the programmer comes to his house, he realizes that this rich guy is actually building AI technology, and that they're actually going to use the programmer to test how intelligent this robot is. I don't want to give away the whole movie, though.
I'll watch it. It sounds interesting. I like it.
It's really good. If only for the cinematography. I mean, alone, like the house and all the stuff is really incredible, but it's very, very good. Okay, and the other thing I want to say is that I just watched a stand-up comedy special with Whitney Cummings, who used to be on Chelsea Handler all the time. Mm-hmm. She has a new Netflix special on comedy special, and she spends a large part of it talking about sex robots and how we shouldn't be threatened by them.
Oh, thank you, Whitney.
And she actually had a sex robot built in her likeness, and she unveils it in the comedy special.
I've heard about that. She's talked about that.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I thought it was really funny. I really like her comedy. I think it's really sharp. So,
but can you get back to this?
Yes, I can. Sorry.
Okay.
That was a very long digression about AI and robots. So, AI, artificial intelligence systems, are making history by acing tests that were designed for 8th and 12th graders. So, this is a new way for them. According to the New York Times, researchers at the Allen Institute for Artificial Intelligence in Seattle, Washington, have cracked the code for test-taking computers. The system that they developed, called Aristo, received a 90% score on an 8th grade science test and passed with an 80% on a 12th grade exam. So some of the questions that Aristo had to answer are up here on our screen. If you are not watching this, you should pull this up on YouTube so you can have a look at it. There's only 2 of them, but let's take a test to see if we are smarter than AI or if we're smarter than 8th and 12th graders. So the first question, I feel like you're going to nail this, Sandy.
Yeah, I think it's an organism.
A group of tissues that work together to perform a specific function is called an organ, an organism, a system, a cell.
I meant an organ.
Oh, an organ.
I think it's an organ, not an organism.
You know, I just realized I don't have the answers to these questions. I only have the questions. I believe you. I think it's called an organ as well. And the second question is, which change would most likely cause a decrease in the number of squirrels living in the area? 1, a decrease in the number of predators. 2, a decrease in competition between the squirrels. 3, an increase in available food. 4, an increase in the number of forest fires. Oh, this is
obvious.
Oh, I feel like there should be all of the above. Decrease in the number of squirrels.
Can we walk through each potential, please?
A decrease in the number of squirrels would be an increase in the number of forest fires. All the others would increase the squirrels. Yes,
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So I might be smarter than an 8th grade AI. I'm definitely smarter than an 8th grade AI. I might not be as smarter than 12th grade AI. You aced it, so
well, and
you're smarter than
here's
both.
why, and it's not because I'm smart. I'm going to tell you why that was easy, is because I was in pharmacy school for 4 years. And the one thing that pharmacy school taught me was how to take a multiple choice test.
Yes.
You do have to read the answers thoroughly. There is only one right answer, and you have to choose the best right answer.
Yep.
And just don't think about it more deeply than that.
You know what? I always got in trouble with multiple choice overthinking. That's a very good, that's a test taking tip for all you kiddos out there. No kids should be listening to this, for all you students.
Yeah.
For all
So
you
I don't want to move on from this AI thing.
Yeah.
So why does, what's that?
Elon Musk.
Why does Elon Musk think that AI is going to
because
kill us all?
Because the point of artificial intelligence is that they respond to they learn as they interact with you. So they really become their own organism because they can respond to you in a way that is organic. They can take in the information that you're giving them. They can assess your they can take visual cues from you. So like they continue to learn and grow the more they interact with you. And so eventually he thinks that will make us unable to control them, basically, because they'll learn about how we shut them down, or they'll learn to adjust and respond to that.
Well, they would have to be programmed
but their programming allows them to evolve in this way.
But they're okay. So I think that Elon Musk is smart man because he's done some really cool stuff. He's also a little bit crazy, and he's done some really crazy stuff.
That's true.
There's a really smart man who's a neuroscientist, and don't quote me on that. Anyway, his name is Noah Yuval Harari. We can look up his credentials.
You have a book.
And I've listened to podcasts and I've read 2 of his books, and he talks about AI in his latest book to quite a great degree. And he's really credible. I'm going to go out on a limb that's like a really big, large, sturdy tree branch and say he's probably more credible than Elon Musk. And he doesn't see it that way. He has a full, deep understanding of AI and how it learns and how it's actually, it can be something that's used to just simplify our lives and make our lives more easy so that we can grow to our potential, because we also have the availability to learn, grow, and adapt, and we don't use our brains to our full potential, but we're capable of it.
That's true.
I think that we'll peak and then you go down because we are biological creatures, right? So we can only to some certain point grow to a certain potential, and then we do start declining, which I'm experiencing right now. But my butt is growing. But anyway,
I think it's really interesting. My personal opinion is let's just proceed with caution. I was in my phone a little bit trying to look up to see if there was a more articulated reason why AI would potentially be so dangerous, but it's not worth really going into. I think I summarized it okay. So I agree with you. I think that I think that there is something about evolution for all of us, whether it's evolution for AI or evolution for humans. I mean, I just think the ability to grow and adapt should not be underestimated, No. And I think that's a pretty incredible ability that we have.
But if you are listening and you are fearful of AI, I ask you to read 21 Lessons for the 21st Century by Yuval Noah Harari.
I'll see if I can put that link on our website as well.
Yeah. And also Sapiens and Homo Deus. They're both really good books. I never actually finished Sapiens.
I didn't either. I was listening to it on Audible, but I didn't finish it. Okay, we are at about 40 minutes on the show, so I think it's time to move into kind of our last thing for the afternoon, which is a question that we found on Reddit, which we thought was curious.
I have never read Reddit.
No, but they have a whole subreddit of questions about dating and advice and stuff like that. So it might be a good place for us to find some stuff if we're ever looking for a topic. So the question is, how do you know if your standards are too high or too low when it comes to dating? And how do you know if your expectations are appropriate? So I kind of feel like, here's the thing. Sandy and I were talking about this before the show, and really the reality for both of us, I think the answer comes down to this. For me, my expectation, you get to set your own standards and your own expectations. So the first thing that I would encourage anyone to do is to kind of block out all the cultural noise around what your expectations or what your standards should be, and do a little bit of soul searching around what your standards or expectations are. Now, I do believe that we are allowed to have expectations of people, right? There are some veins of the world, there are some thought patterns or thought structures that are like, expectations are not worth having, blah, blah, blah. But I really feel like, I can expect that the person I'm dating is going to be mindful of responding to me in a timely manner, that they're going to be where they say they're going to be, that they're going to show up when we have a date plan, that kind of stuff. So those are expectations that I have. And I really feel like that once you get kind of centered and have some awareness around like what your standards truly are, the standards that are your deepest truth, the expectations that are internalized to you, then the rest of it can just kind of go out the window. And anyone that doesn't meet those is not your person.
Right.
And I think the place that it gets confusing for people is that when you go through a number of not your person experiences where people don't meet your expectations or don't meet your standards, then you start to think like that nobody ever will. But, you and I believe this deeply, that there is somebody out there for everyone. Your person is out there, but you don't want to be wasting your time with the wrong people by trying to adjust or change your expectations or your standards to hang on to something that's right in front of you when it's not the right thing. Mm-hmm. You got to let the wrong thing go so that the right thing can come. And I feel like more than anything, we cause ourselves so much pain by hanging on to the wrong thing just because it's a thing that's right here, instead of being willing to let the wrong thing go, honor our truths, honor what's good for us, and wait for the right thing, take the action to head toward the right thing and wait for the right thing to come to us.
No, I totally agree. And I'm going to just kind of add on that it's okay to have expectations. It's okay to have high expectations. Mm-hmm. The more worthy that I feel like I am, the higher my expectations. So I have responsibility in that. Mm-hmm. And my responsibility is, if I'm constantly in misery because person after person stops meeting my expectations, I can choose to tell myself my expectations are too high, mm-hmm. and lower my expectations.
Right.
And be miserable
because I'm not getting what I need.
Or B, tell myself the truth that this person just isn't probably going to be the person who's going to make me happy.
Yeah.
Have a deep belief that there's somebody who is, and keep it moving.
Right. Yeah, I really agree with that. And the place that I experienced personally the most growth around this is when I got in a lot of pain around my expectations. So, for example, like I had a really long pattern of dating unavailable men. It was just like a thing. If you were geographically unavailable to me, I was like really into you. Like there was a while where I dated a guy who was a German national who lived in Nepal that didn't even have like regular access to electricity. I mean, it was like only 5 years, 5 or 6 years ago. And so it wasn't.
How did you date?
We like texted and internet stuff, yeah. But I mean, he didn't have reliable internet. So it was like, it was crazy that like I thought I was so attracted to this guy. And then the only time I saw him, we rendezvoused in Las Vegas once, which was of course amazingly fun. And then we rendezvoused in Amsterdam, which was fucking really fun.
Yeah.
But like we didn't really have anything going on because like he was he was like half a world away.
Yeah.
So like I had this pattern of always being involved.
Can I ask you a question about that though? So this is what I think, and this is what I hear a lot of people and a lot of women say. Well, that sounds fun. I'm young. Shouldn't I have fun?
Yeah.
And it was fun for you. You said that.
Yeah.
Was there any pain in that type of relationship?
Yeah, it was fun until it wasn't fun anymore.
Right.
So the thing is, I really feel like there is no world in which I would tell someone not to try something or not to do something or not to give it a go, but know that there are consequences to that. And I over and over found myself in this position where I would date men that were unavailable, either because they were worlds away, geographically unavailable, or because they were involved with another partner, actually unavailable, or because they were emotionally unavailable and I couldn't really tell what was going on. But every single time I did that, I ended up in a lot of pain because like I was confused. I was always fucking confused when I was involved with someone who was unavailable. And I could never figure out exactly what was going on. And I could never figure out why we weren't like really leveling up. You know what I mean? We were having a lot of fun, but we're not like developing much intimacy in terms of like interpersonal intimacy, not like sexual intimacy, right? So every time something like that came crashing down at the end, I was in a lot of pain and thought like, well, that, oh, poor me. What's wrong with me? Blah, blah, blah. What's wrong with me? Well, what's wrong with me, what I discovered after doing it over and over and over and over again, is that I had this pattern and this expectation that like somebody didn't need to be available to be involved with me. And it wasn't until I did some deep work and soul searching around like what is true for me. And the truth for me is that in order for me to have a sustainable, deeply intimate relationship, my partner must be available. But I didn't learn that until I'd been in a bunch of pain around unavailable partners, And so it was fun while it was fun. and then it wasn't fun anymore. And so now I know, it's like when you know better, you do better, right? So now I know better. Sometimes. But sometimes you go out and make the same mistake again.
Over and over. Yeah. And so there's some traps in that. Like, I want to go back to when you said, oh my God, what's wrong with me? What are some of the things you told yourself must be the reason?
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong with you?
What's wrong with me? I'm not worthy. I'm not thin. I'm not pretty. I'm not enough. Basically is what it all came down to.
Instead of, it might be this person is just not available.
Right. And instead of this guy lives half a world away and doesn't even have like access to electricity on the regular.
Yeah. So I want to just spend a little bit more time on that, because I think that is something that like a lot of us, when we are like, we are that place in our lives where we're like, I'm dating and it's just not going well. And what's wrong with me?
Right.
And I probably need to work out more, and I probably need to go take more photos on more mountaintops.
Well,
and I probably need to do all this instead of just like, I probably need to pick different men.
Well, and all of that stuff is easy to do.
Right.
It's easy to go work out more. It's easy to go take more pictures on a mountaintop. It's hard to look at your patterns with like a clear head and go, oh shit, I have been making really bad choices, or like really inappropriate choices, or really unavailable choices my whole damn life.
Yeah.
Ever since I started dating when I was 12 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I've always chosen men that were unavailable. And oh shit, that's ugly to look at. That's hard to look at. That's hard to think about. Time wasted, opportunities wasted. But it's not until I'm ready. It was not until I did that I was like, realized really the depths of the impact of this pattern that I had in my life.
Yeah.
And that it had kept me from a lot of joy potentially. Who knows, right? So then I got the opportunity to try something different. And of course, a couple of times I didn't. I had done a lot of work, and then I went back out there and still picked some unavailable guys. But the beautiful thing about having this new awareness around unavailability is that like I only had to be in that for a couple of weeks or maybe a month before I realized what was going on. So in the past, I would have spent months, 6 months, 9 months, a year chasing someone who's unavailable. Like that guy in Nepal, I probably spent 6 to 9 months chasing him down. You know what I mean? And then after having some awareness around that pattern, it was only weeks before I could realize like, oh my God, this old pattern, this is the pattern that makes me hurt. This is a pattern that is painful to me. And like, I'm going to try to walk away from it now instead of 6 months from now, you know?
I do know.
So... So it is about like, you know, figuring out like how we can start telling ourselves the truth. That was kind of the thing we were hoping this question would morph into. And, you know, there is, I think, some bottoming out that has to happen with lying to ourselves.
Yeah. It's you know, it's just like, it's the hardest thing for me in my life right now, because I obviously had an experience very similar to yours, or you had an experience very similar to mine. And I went through all the work of learning everything you just went through on my own and coming to all those conclusions on my own by myself with these experiences. And then really being able to articulate it the way you just did. And, I remember the bad breakup, and then I went through this like where I really did get to know myself, and it was really about self-love and worthiness, and I found it for the truth and for real. But then I started dating again, and it took those bad experiences, and even though, you know, I told you I know you've heard me say it. I had the experience where it didn't take as long, and that was good. I still experienced disappointment. It still didn't feel good. I still had some of those feelings, but with this foundation of love and respect for myself, I was able to move away, and I did save a great deal of pain, but I was still choosing the wrong men. Yeah. And so what I did was, after, you know, the one that tricked me, and I was like, how did I end up with this crazy person? He totally tricked me. I decided again to pause from dating. Yeah. And I went to a therapist, and I was just like, I've got a bad picker. Yeah. Like, I came out straight like that. Yeah. And that was that. And what that is an example of letting go of no longer, because I have done this work where I love myself. I can't keep lying to myself. Yeah. I can't say that, well, he's not really calling me back as much, but it is probably because he's just busy with his big, busy life. He says that, this was a good one. I had one who told me that it's just going to be really hard for him because, even though I'm sober, because I'm an alcoholic, because his mom was an alcoholic. No, it's because because you're in love with your fucking ex-girlfriend that you're probably still dating.
Yeah.
Like, those are hard truths to tell ourselves.
Yeah, it's hard to
because
get
it's a
honest about
lot
that.
easier to say, oh, it's because I'm an alcoholic and he has childhood trauma. It protects our ego a lot, right?
It sure does.
I can say, Heidi, it didn't work out with this guy because I'm an alcoholic, and those are the lies that we keep telling ourselves, and we stay in it. And as long as I keep telling myself, you know, this lie to protect my ego and to protect my feelings and not just experience the truth and the rejection, I'm not going to move forward.
Right.
And I think that that's the hardest thing for me now, is like a grown woman in a healthy relationship who tells the truth in my relationship. To have girlfriends come to me in pain who are still lying to themselves.
And it's delicate too. I mean, I feel like that is, we've talked about this. Like, how do I show up? Maybe the next question is, how do you show up as a friend to someone who's lying to themselves and you want to stay friends with them, right? Like, so it's not quite as easy to just say, like, you're fucking lying to yourself. I mean, you can say that. And some people are hurt by it, right? Like, some of our friends, like, some of your friends are going to, like, go, ouch, you know, or whatever. It's hard to be supportive to someone who's lying to themselves. And especially when they can't hear you in your gentlest way, saying, you might want to look at that in a different way. Are you sure that that's really what's going on here? Would you consider this, that maybe it's something else? Have you thought about the fact that this is not exactly accurate? That's how I come at it, but
he's a dick. I've crossed over into he's a dick with a handful of people.
Well, and I get a little mama bear sometimes, but even then I feel so uncomfortable being a mama bear that I'm like, I'm being a kind of mama bear about this, you know, whatever. But you know, it's hard watching people lie to themselves and knowing, like, that they can't hear you. Yeah. I don't know, that they can't hear you say, like, you might be lying to yourself.
Yeah. So that's the hardest part now. But so where I can find compassion in that, it still doesn't make it easier, but I can find compassion is relating to it myself, because I spent a long time lying to myself about and allowing people to confuse me, you know, and allowing the people I'm dating to confuse me, because it's never cut and dry. Yeah. You know, the unavailable man will give you just enough biscuits to keep you there.
Crumbs.
And so we hang on to the little crumbs and we let go of the big glaring red flags. Yeah. And so it's to start recognizing what is a crumb. Yeah. And what is a red flag. Yeah. Write down, just make a fucking list, girl.
God, the list is your best friend when you're dating.
What is a crumb? What is a red flag? Yeah. And you can even make the list and say, all right, but I'm still going to pause for now. I'm still going to keep dating this guy, but keep the list. Yeah. Because you might add to it. And maybe that list will get long enough that you become willing to tell yourself the truth.
Oh. Spike the mic. Mic drop. I love
it. Feels so mean, and it's so funny that it's like, this is so hard for so many people to hear. So there's people who are like really like in their full selves and they know the truth and they're like, yeah. But then there's so many people who are like, who are you? How dare you tell me I'm lying to myself? You don't know me.
But we do. We do know you.
We do.
So, because we've been you.
We've been you.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I can be you again. Like, that's not like you arrive and then you sit on your laurels and you sit on your high horse. Life has a life of its own, man. And people and your partner has a life of their own. Yeah. And so so I'm not saying that, like, I've hit some high achievement level and I'm never gonna change or be there or be weak or be more of my lower self.
Because those lies creep back in, right? I mean, that stuff, it comes and goes. And so it is, I really that's very valuable, the last point that you made about, like, it's not arriving. Yeah. You know, it's about, we uncover some truths and then we have to keep working at them.
Yeah. And so it may move from romance to, like, employment, or it may move from one area to another. But practicing a way of life of just really being able to be self-aware. I actually, I can't believe this is coming together, because I want to read this really quickly.
Yeah, let's do it.
The podcast.
This is good. I'm obsessed with this segment.
So this is funny about, like, how do you tell your friend or your family member you're lying to yourself, right? Yeah. So I came across this post on Instagram by a fellow named Neil Strauss. He's a New York Times author. He says, self-awareness takes work, and listening to things you don't want to hear, and admitting that you're wrong a lot. It's not for everyone, just for those who would rather be happier than right.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
And then he says, this is actually the better part. He says, one of the biggest gifts you can give your friends and partners is the ability to see yourself and be seen as you are, not as you'd like to be seen. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, those are good.
Yeah. So it sounds really basic, especially for us who have been doing a lot of this type of work for so long, right? We got to be so self-indulgent for so many years in recovery. Good Lord.
We did.
So this sounds like really like basic 101 stuff, but practicing it in a real life in a really truthful way is actually like it's not that easy, but for me in my life, it's paid off in dividends. Yeah. I don't have a ton of like relationships, but the relationships that I have are really deep and trusting.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love it. I love this segment. I love this show. I'm so happy that we got to do it today. We are sending you lots of love, light, and gold from Portland. Don't forget,
stay vigilant.
Yeah.
What miracles of science and engineering it took to recover this gold.